So this class is a retrospective class to allow you to ask all your questions and basically questions around investing or investments, whether it's this year or maybe something you want to do in the coming years or something you've already started out, or maybe questions on the classes that we've had already. Our expert in the house, Said Kolapo, will be happy to respond to these questions. So today's class will take a different approach. It would sort of be like a Q&A. We already have questions that came from some of our customers in some of the past sessions that we've had and some very recent questions. So Said will be taking those questions today. And then if you have other questions, um, maybe from the classes or things that you've experienced while trying to invest in one thing or the other, Said will also be happy to take those questions. And if there is time, we would be going over your budgeting templates or your budgeting outlines that you've created with the Excel sheet or with the link that we shared, budget bakers that we shared with you. But we believe that the questions that Saib will be answering are burning questions that you have or things that relate to those questions. So when we ask Said those questions and you have follow-up questions based on his responses, feel free to indicate by raising your virtual hands and we would be happy to call you up to speak, or you can drop your questions in the chat box. Okay, welcome again, everybody. Said, do you want to say a few words before we start bombarding you with our questions?
Hello, Shidera. Good morning.
Hi.
No, nothing from me. You did justice on on our recap. You know what we've done so far and the purpose for today's session. Sorry, guys, I had a late night, so my voice is still husky, but I'm me as
Sounds good.
always.
Sounds
Yeah.
good to you. Your voice is okay to me. Okay, because of time, we'll kick off. Please, guys, feel free to stop, ask questions, drop questions in the chat box. Some of the questions that we've seen are really interesting questions, and we like it because these questions are very relatable, right? They relate to things that are happening, and how investments can help us through these times. Chidima, if you're not already recording, you can start recording. But we'll kick off now. Okay, so the first question is, would you advise people to invest this year, despite the uncertainties that come with the year, especially this post-election time? So we know everything that's going on, fuel prices. Some of us that have been around for a while, we know that because of the hike in fuel and everything that's happening, cost of living will soon increase, prices of goods will still increase. So Said, would you advise people to invest this year?
I've been grinning from ear to ear when I heard that question. Just to be sure, you're asking if people should invest this year.
Yes.
I think it's a trick one. I would like to flip it and say why not. Like when you said that question, what I said first in my head is why not? The idea of investment is to save something for you, give you something for the rainy days. And we can all agree that we are in the rainy days, right? If we are in the same Nigeria that I'm in, right? So I think this is the year to even buckle up on a lot of things, break down your budgets, scrap everything together, and invest as much as you can. Okay, let's be realistic. I start from the 9 to 5. We're binded by salary. I go to work 9, come back 5. I'm tired. I hardly have time for passive income or to do other things to generate income for me. I know people have been able to balance this, but me personally, it's a bit of tough war for me. So what I need to do is I need that passive income. I need that extra income for me to be able to meet up with the galloping inflation we currently have, right? If I can use that word. And this is where I've sat down to, well, if I can use the word squeeze in quotes, squeeze my budget. I dropped my Spotify subscription, Prime subscription, Deezer, and I'm currently on YouTube Music and Netflix, right? So they serve the same purpose. The few music out here on Spotify that's not YouTube Music, I can be well without it. Some would say, well, it's just 2 8 Eid. Are you not going against your old slogan of without compromising the quality of life. But if you do 2.8 into 12, let me do 10 months, that's like 28,000. Now that lump sum, I can use it to get utility or get my prepaid for my electricity. I can save some way or the other, right? So I'll say, yeah, this year is the year to actually invest. Why? Because we have a lot of uncertainties. You just have to do your research, what you're comfortable with, because we see a lot of dynamics going to happen in the nearest future. One is a new government, right? And policies are dropping one after the other. So the key investors have used the 2, 3 policies that have been passed to kind of predict what will happen. So now, by floating naira, you have FDI, foreign direct investment. Foreign investors are now coming in because they're making more value from the dollar they're putting in, and they are taking position already. And if new companies or investors are increasing their stake, then we can say they kind of anticipate some kind of economic boom. So why don't you key in at the same time as them? I mean, so to answer your question in plain English, yes, this year is the year to invest. Thank you.
Okay, I like how you said investments is for rainy days, and this is really rainy days. Like I feel like the people that have already invested and are getting dividends from their investments are probably not feeling the brunt of the times. But you're so spot on. Thank you so much, Said. Um,
Exactly, Chidera. Sorry, just to kind of further buttress what you said, that those have invested before are
mhm.
actually kind of enjoying. So if you take the equities market, for instance, it's actually been on fire for the past 3 weeks or so. Like you see shares like tripling on their value and all that. And those that key in when prices were like 6 naira, were clocking out at 24 naira. And market took a downturn. Even when it took a downturn, you have the likes of 24 naira going to 16 naira. So either ways, it's a win-win for such person, right? And you're smart on the market, especially the equities market. When you see people riling up to buy that stock, then you will be riling up to sell at least 1/3 to cushion whenever there's a downturn. So an example is I came in at 6 naira, market is doing 24, is good. Everybody anticipates more. 24 can be 30, but I'll say if I have 1 million, then I can comfortably sell 300 worth of that shares just so I partake in that 24%, what will I say, profitability. Then watch the market again for a week or two. Did it increase again? Do I need to sell a bit? So you sell in bits so that when there's a downturn, it doesn't sweep out all the profit it makes so far. And you see guys, they took position in equity late last year, November, and cool. You see them smiling now. Any group chat where you have investor Sabinus, everything they hit you with, how's the market? Is it bullish or bearish, right? So yes, those that have invested before are really enjoying it now. So why don't you join the bandwagon? Invest now, watch the market closely, and we hope for the best. Yeah.
Okay, so I like your response. So let's so I want to invest now, right? So I want to invest. I want to start. So how can I be strategic about investing this year? In short, why should I be strategic about investing this year? And what is safe to invest in and what is not safe to invest in if I want to start now?
Okay, awesome. Well, I really like your question, right? But the response is actually relative. So we go back to investment 101. What is your risk appetite? What percent of your principal are you willing to let go, right? So I'll still use me as an example. Oh, I can do 10%, no problem. I can do 20. You understand? So that would determine the direction in which to the assets you actually buy, right? But let me use the average. Average investor does not want to lose money, right? So let's even start from the low stakes. You can do mutual fund. Mutual fund never fails. It's been pushing 11% since start of the year, since January, right? And this is it. If you go by basic economics, government will need to borrow, right, to cover the deficit and budget and all that. Where do they come to? They issue instruments, treasury bills, bonds, and the likes to borrow or mop out funds in circulation, right? Meaning there's tendency of money market fund to go higher. We saw it close sometimes in December at I think 11 or 12. I need to confirm those figures, and it's been pushing. And this is like this is like the major constituent of money market fund, treasury bills, because it's the safest. The government of a nation will always honor its obligation, so it can't go wrong. So I'll say start from that place and watch. If you want to diversify, you can do 80% mutual funds and 20% in some form of balanced funds. So you can enjoy the benefits of equity that is riling up and down for now. So I'll tell you outright, play it safe, go into conservative funds, which the money market funds. If you want to turn it up a bit, get a bit of balanced funds inside, not equities totally. And if you're the daring type, I mean, you opt for risk and you find a way to balance your portfolio, then do pure equities. Hello, Justice. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, good morning, Said, and good morning to the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have a question in this regard. Um, I invested in in, uh, in a mutual fund, money market, to be specific. So, and when I saw that the company, their balance fund was going for 16% and all that, I said okay. And then the one I invested in was like 9, 10%. I said okay, let me enjoy some of these of the dividends. So I now placed money on the balance fund. I told them to open the balance fund for me, and I now placed some funds there. To my surprise, in 2 days I lost 9,000 naira. So now I was wondering, how can a fund be returning 60% and I'm losing? Why the money market is returning about 9-10%, and I've never lost a dime. So I now wrote to them. They said that there is the price, but they couldn't really explain to me, what really happened, the dynamics. So I had to move my funds back to the money market fund. So I don't know, I don't understand why a fund will be returning 16% and then you are losing money on it. And which other fund behaves like that? Does the equity and the other funds behave like that, as well as the dollar fund? Please, can you explain to me?
Okay, Justice, I'll try as much as possible not to be technical because as you were telling those funds, I was just seeing weighted average returns, weighted average maturities and all that in my head and like say it calm down. Let's speak in plain English, right? So Justice, as much as I'm trying to break it down, so what happens in such price? Because number one is a CIS, collective investment scheme. Remember our pizza analogy? We're all contributing a bit to buy pizza, right? So what most fund managers do is to get this money collectively and buy this asset, right? Asset, I mean the equities, treasury bills, commercial paper, all the investment in the portfolio, we call them assets, right? But remember, Chidera came in January, I came in March, you're coming in July, for instance. So if he's doing 16%, you coming in July cannot earn the whole of that 16% because it's usually indicative rate per annum. And why they say indicative is because it changes, there's price fluctuation. So in order to make it as balanced as possible so no one gets cheated, so there's a price to buying the unit. So what it means is when Chidera came in January, for argument's sake, she purchased a unit at 800 naira. When I came in March, I purchased that same unit at 1,000, meaning Chidera has made 200 naira already before I joined her in March, right? And now you're coming in July and buying the same thing for 1,200. So that analogy explains why Chidera is making more. It's only fair that she makes more because she came in before me and you, right? You get the analogy. So now you bought at 1,200. And I just said while I was explaining how equities went high and started dropping, because you're buying per unit, now the price of equities have dropped in the market. The next person coming in or those they were in, they need to be some form of compensation on that price to reflect the loss in the market. So you bought for 1,200 and we've had loss. Remember, your fund manager won't keep those shares for long if it's a loss. They want to dump it too. So meaning they'll probably sell at a loss. Maybe they bought one unit at 16 naira and you're selling at 13 naira to cushion the loss. This now translates back to the price that you bought 1,200. Price adjustment might now turn to 1,100 or maybe even 1,000. And when you do 1,000 that the number of units you have, you now notice your principal has actually reduced. That's what exactly happened in the market, right? So there's this saying, this Chinese saying, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is now. So relating it to equities, by the time you see prices spiking up, trust me, in most cases, you're coming into market late. Because what it means is that share, so it's just like saying, I don't know, I don't want to use any brand because we're open, but let me say company X. Shares of company X is growing, and basic economics, demand drives the price, right? Or company X is doing it. Shidera just called me. I say, do you have shares in company X? Oh no, I don't. No, I bought two for 800 and it's now 1,000. I go to buy. I tell the next person, and the company is also doing well. So there's demand which drives the price. The price keeps going up, right? So by the time you see the market doing 30%, 33%, a lot of people have already bought in. So meaning now the price will be heavy because there's demand. And when you come in at high price, any slightest fluctuation there has to be correction of that loss on the price and it goes down. So now you ask me, so now that shares are doing 25, 30 naira, should I buy or should I not buy? If you remember our lesson, I said if you want to go into equities, then what is your investment horizon? You can't come in 6 months and say you want to pull out. So justice, when you came in and you saw your principal eroding, it's a normal reaction of an investor. You want to pull out to reduce further loss. But a seasoned investor knows, okay, I came in at 1-2, for instance, no problem. All I need to do is to be patient for the market to take a turn. Because the equities is just like seesaw, comes down, goes up, comes down, goes up. All these policies are all driving it. So I'll be patient enough for the market to take a turnaround. At least when it gets to 1-2, then I can collect my money and say thank you for coming and go back to my conservative fund. Or I can brace the season and say this is 1-2. Then you can do 1-3 tomorrow. Let me wait. So that's why you see investors, I ask what's your investment horizon. If you want to do 2, 3 years, 5 years, then you can go to equities because at most time it will take a dip, then it will go up, right? But because you did the basic investor reaction, you reacted to the market and panic and you cashed out and now you lost money. Ideally, you're supposed to wait it out or ask questions. Oh, fund manager, I noticed this balance fund. There's a drop in my principal. Oh, this, just what I told you. Oh, awesome. What are the equity aspects of this fund? What companies do you have? Oh, I have a mobile, I have MTN, I have Waterboard, I have Ikeja Electric. Then you will now do your homework and go. It's open information. If you go to NSC websites, SEC and all that, you can now do your research. Okay, we have 10 companies. So this one here, why this one dropped? Okay, that one dropped. Why did it drop? Ikeja Electric. Go on Google or ask someone. Did they change their management? Did something happen to give them negative review? Why did the price drop? Is there a policy affecting power alone that Ikeja Electric's share will drop? For disclaimer, I'm just using this as an example. Ikeja Electric is not dropping. Please don't quote say it and they'll come for me to say as Paul market. But I believe you get the analogy how these things work, right? So you want to know if this dropped, so the equity aspect of this fund, what are the constituents? Then you break it down. Is it company A or B or C? Oh, company A, what happened? Oh, because they said they want to increase price of power, a lot of people are buying a lot. Maybe this is what drove the shares up. And now they say they're not increasing power again. People have stopped buying. Could that be the reason it's dropping? So you can get one or two hypotheses. Then investment is continuous research. That's the interesting part. Continuously you're researching. Okay, cool, cool. So could that be the reason? And you test the hypothesis one or two people, or try to bring it down, or you call a seasoned investor. And this might be a cheesy answer, but because I want to sleep well, I'll just give my money to Vested and let them do this worrying. You get my point. They have the experts and everything, and I'll just sleep well and I cash out when I need to. Okay, Chidera, you want to take the other question? If okay, hold on. Justice is
Okay, okay.
still trying to get clarification. Go ahead, please. Hello, Justice. Is this a legacy hand?
Sorry, I was muted.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Does this apply to the foreign currency funds, the dollar funds as well? And that's number one. Then number two, you just mentioned FSDH. Do you have a custody structure? And do you have a registrar for your funds?
Okay, so this is not about FSDH or vested, right? But once a fund is called a collective investment scheme, the regulator is the SEC, Security and Exchange Commission. It says for every collective investment scheme, you need to have a registrar, a trustee, and a custodian. Those three are, so while a registrar is kind of optional to track your units, but you see that trustee and the custodian, those are the basic requirements to even get that fund registered with SEC. So across board, all collective investment schemes have that component in Axon.
Okay, the dollar mutual fund, does it go up and down too in terms
Oh,
of one losing the principal or the
okay.
interest?
Okay.
Because
So
the money market fund, the worst you can do is that maybe the interest end will be very low, but you know your daily interest end is low, but it's not that you lose money. You understand?
yes.
So
So
the
for the
dollar,
dollar, right? Yeah, where I
yes.
get your question. For the dollar, I can't outrightly say. It depends on what you're buying from your fund manager. And they owe you that right to tell you, oh, this fund is conservative. Oh, this fund is aggressive. This fund is balanced at the point of purchase. So now I wouldn't know the component of which of the dollar products. If the dollar mutual fund you're buying or the dollar product you're buying says it's conservative, then it shows you that element of risk of going up and down is not there, right? And if it tells you it's mid, then you know that fluctuation is there, but it's mid. If they tell you a fund is aggressive, then what it means is direct interpretation. They go long, they take risk and higher returns, right? So the onus lies on you to ask your fund manager for this particular product. What are the underlying asset? What is the nature? Conservative, aggressive, mid, then that will now drive your decision on whether to invest or not.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Chidera, do you have any other question?
Yes, thank you. I lost my connection for a few seconds,
Okay.
but can everyone hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. At least I can hear you.
Okay. So I like how you painted a picture of, the I mean, what could happen, with, and I like Justice's question. I like how you threw light on the benefits of investing early and long-term benefits as well. But if there was like a process, if you were to advise someone new to invest in, how to go about it, somebody's asking, is there a process that they must follow?
Okay. I think the easiest way to do this, right, is if I'm a beginner investor, I'll give it to the expert to invest for me, right? Then I ask this expert, for this portion or this product, what are you investing in? Then I can do mirror concepts. So if Chidera says, oh, we're buying a couple of treasury bill for you and a bit of this and that, and I ask this asset, can I buy on my own and try to grow it using my research? Then after some time, I can say 6 months, 1 year, I can compare my performance with that of my fund manager or the expert, meaning I'm learning from the expert. At any point in time, I can ask questions or Google. That is, if you don't want to go all out. Like I said, most of us are either employed or into business, entrepreneur, or other things. But these fund managers, that is their daytime job. So you can't really qualify the amount of dedication they put on these than us here doing it like side gig or some way, right? So I'll tell that beginner investor for now, invest with the expert while you try to learn and get the market. And you can correct as it goes with the expert, that is fund manager in quote. How are they doing this? Feel free to ask questions. Do you want to increase your space to have more finance people? Do I want to make more friends on LinkedIn that are into finance? I can email them, hey, sorry for interrupting. I just want to know the impact of this on this. Finance guys love to talk. I have a couple of them in my circle because they spend most of the day in front of computer, making decisions. So it's like a fresh air to them, right? When you ask them to explain things to you, that is how I will handle this on beginner investor. Just to recap, I give the experienced person to invest, and on the side, I try to learn what they're doing until when I'm capable, I'm comfortable or confident I can make these decisions myself. Then I decide on how I want to play in the space. I hope if the audience is here, I hope I did justice to your question.
Justice has a question, so Justice will let us know if you did justice to the question.
I
Justice,
like that. Justice, did I do justice to the question?
Sorry, I'm just
Go ahead,
sorry
go
that
ahead.
I'm asking quite number of questions. You said give it to the expert. How? Is it that I'll just come, I give you the money, and then I say, okay, go ahead, do whatever you like, just get me my profit, or how? How is that done?
Oh, exactly. Now we go back to our investment 101. I like to refer, since this is retrospective. I can go to SEC website starting with to see the list of all fund managers in Nigeria. There's a reason why I have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Okay, awesome. Now I have the list, and this is kind of this response is I'm answering the way I would treat it is relative to every one of us, right? That's how I'll start from. Oh, so this is number 1 in Nigeria, right? There's a reason they are number 1. So do I want to use that premise to say they are expert in this field and invest with them? That is 1. Then number 2, you still have to do due diligence. That is you scoping the risk. Okay, they have this product, that product. At least now we have Google, you have vested, you can drop them a DM and say, okay, product X says it has A, B, C, D. What does it mean? Or I saw this big term or this financial term. What does it mean? So you will do your homework too. Okay, the underlying assets here, does it align with my own risk tolerance? Right? Or how much projection do I have on returns? That will determine what kind of product you invest into while minding your risk tolerance. So yeah, you do your research. This fund manager, how early do they pay out? This fund says they pay you 3 to 5 days. Do I know someone that's invested and 2 months later is yet to get their money? So just one or two homework. Then of course, fund managers have license from SEC, so we could say comfortably say to some level they have the authority to perform the transaction. So it's just for you now to now decide who am I going to go with in this space. So there's no like magic bullet to say, oh, Chidera is the expert, Said is the expert. No, you still have to do your due diligence, do your research. Why is this company this? What are their values? What are their morals? What is customer service like? What is the payout rate? So do you want to check historical record? If they say this fund has been on for 5 years, you can ask for the record from your fund manager. Can I see performance of this fund for the past 5 years, past 2 years? And that would drive your own decision.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, Justice.
Okay, Justice, I hope that did justice to your question. So Said, you've answered for new investors. What about old investors that have been in the game for a while? Is there a way that they can improve their investments?
Okay, so for old investors or seasoned investors, right? I'll just say they should play around with their portfolio, basically. So I'll say basically, what's your portfolio mix for the past 2 years? Is it giving you the returns you're expecting? Do you want to turn things around? Do I want to flip position of my balance fund with the aggressive one? Or do I want to go less on the aggressive and more on the mid one? Because we know the conservative fund will deliver at any point in time. So I just tell them, do a shake around of your portfolio. You might want to go into new scope. So if you're doing traditional investment, do you want to venture into commodities? Do I want to see what the agri space is doing? Do I want to go into alternate investment, put money together, pool fund, do car hailing service? Is there a tailor that wants to set up? Can I give him a sewing machine at a higher purchase rate? Just tweak these things around till you're comfortable. That's what I tell the investor, because they will have known they'll easily cite the red flag in any business or any venture. That's why I'm saying, okay, now you can just go out and shake things around. And if you notice down the line this is not working, then you can revert back to your default setting, which is the normal portfolio or asset mix you have.
Yes, thank you so much, Said. Okay, so at this point we'll pause. just a refresher. So this is the retrospective class. We have gathered questions from some of our customers and some of the sessions that we've had in the past and questions that have come up in those sessions. So this class is supposed to be a retrospective of the 3 classes that we've had in the past weeks. And if anyone has any questions on those classes, about those classes, or something that you didn't quite find, maybe you didn't understand, or maybe you've heard something different outside, you can ask those questions here. I like how Justice has been bombarding us with questions. It's really good because it shows he's really enthusiastic to do things right in terms of investing. So we can take questions that you have based on the classes, or maybe something that Said has said. We can address it here. We can also prepare ourselves to go over our budget template. So your budgeting that you've put together, if you've used the Excel sheet yet, or if you have questions on the Excel sheets, you can ask now. But if we don't have any questions, we can just move on, because there are a bunch of questions here that customers have sent ahead, and we can keep asking those questions, and you can drop your questions in the chat box. Okay, Said, so far so good. But there is one interesting question here that I would like to ask. So someone said, in what ways can people use investing to guard their money or to guard their wealth base against possible increase in inflation this year? So it is looking very, very possible that inflation, which is, I think it's 22% now, is going to increase this year, especially with the hike in prices of everything. So in what ways can investments or investing help?
Well, what I would like to say first, right? Well, investing is not like the magic bullet, right? But it can help cushion to some extent. So first of all, I'd like to tell that investor, you need to sit and look around you. I need another source of income to compensate what I'm already earning. Is there a skill I have that I can monetize? Is there some sort of service I can render to earn me more income, right? That is just by the way. Then secondly is, now inflation is increasing, like we all know. So if I keep that money and do nothing, inflation will still meet up. So I'll say invest, right? And given the nature of things, I'll say if it's a new investor, I'll say don't be aggressive, be conservative or moderate. Invest the funds in conservative funds at least. No matter how small that return is, it will still do something. It go a long way in reducing this for you. Yeah, so that's how I approach this.
Yeah, I like your response to that one. I think maybe sometime in the nearest future we need to do something on passive income, or just sharing ways that people can earn on the side, and then maybe use that money to invest or something. I don't know, but it's now looking like the money that we're making is not going to be enough, or it's looking small because of the things that are happening with the economy and whatnot. But I digress. Okay, so another interesting question is, so salary earners, well, a lot of salary earners on the call, they want to know how they can prepare for a likely increase in the cost of living. I like how you said investing is not a silver bullet, right? But a lot of people feel like investing can solve a lot of their problems, maybe because they don't understand it, or because they've heard how other people have, gotten dividends and whatnot. So salary earners are asking how they can prepare for a likely increase in the cost of living, and as they also try to build their wealth through investing. It's a 3-part question, so I'll allow you to take this one first, and then I can ask the other ones. Or would you like me to ask everything at once?
I'll even, if you don't mind, can you take it in bits, but take the first one? My little MD here has gotten in the way. Yeah. so, so please, can you take it at the top, just the first one? I break it down, then we go to the next one.
Okay. So the first one is, in what ways can salary earners prepare for a likely increase in the cost of living as they also try to build their wealth through investing?
Oh wow. I was actually chuckling. I don't know. I saw somebody on Twitter or was it WhatsApp saying cost of living won't kill the living, and I couldn't just help. I was just laughing, and you came with the same thing, right? No, so the best way, or I say that, because this is not the first time I'm actually hearing this question, right? So the best way I would say is a lifestyle change. While it might be uncomfortable, right? But it's just what we need to do now till we get some form of direction or certainty in where these policies will take us. Like, I made an analogy, I don't know which of the classes, about having a full gym subscription, for instance. Do you want to cut that monthly subscription to weekly? And what other form of exercise can you take in to reduce the expense? That is one, for instance. Then number two, I know like the corporate world, right? We're always buying shirts, we're always buying tie because we wear them 5 times daily. Do you want to maybe slow down, recycle more shirts? I'm not saying wear it 5 days a week, but do you want to wear it twice a week? That's just something so that will reduce your cost of purchasing new one. Or do you want to go and high your spending? Or this, while this might look counterproductive, but it actually works. Do you want to increase in the quality of shirts or the clothes you're buying so you have like a longer lifespan on them than buying mid-range that after 2 or 3 laundry color is busted, or you need to change it? Like I always like to say, it's actually relative. So you look around and see what are this tiny lifestyle change I can make without compromising my quality of life. Well, it's a bit uncomfortable. Okay, do I want to maybe toss the laundry in the washing machine and only pay for the ironing? For those that needs to be laundered, I launder it. So if you look around to each one of us, how do I want to cut 1,000 here, 2,000 there, 500 here? And at the end of the day, you'll be surprised. There's some sizable chunk you can have left to either complement other side or now to put into investing. Yeah, so that's how I'll tackle that first one.
Yeah, I think you also answered the other two because they're also asking how can I improve my budgeting skills to effectively manage my income and expenses, and then what strategies can I implement to track and control my spending more efficiently. So I think you've touched on these two. Maybe you want to say a few more things. I don't know.
Yes, so regarding the budgeting, right, I'll just say refine, evaluate, and repeat, right? So I budgeted X this month and I went above it. Then there's a need to look and see what did I do differently? Why? Because for budgeting, you're not taking the figures out of thin air. We said realistic budgeting. So I know to commute to work for a week, let's say for instance, for argument's sake, I use a full tank in my car Monday to Friday, and bearing the increase in price, that is obvious, but the same condition you get for the benefit of the argument, and all of a sudden I'm having to buy a quarter tank before the end of the week. Then it calls for me to check, is my car due for maintenance? Did I go out of my route? What's changed? So that way, do you want to factor it in as a one-time thing and there's no need to panic? But if it's constant, it's happening consistently, then it's either you have an unrealistic budget or there's a need to check and see what is happening at this place. And likewise, I budgeted X for this event and I'm spending less. That's awesome. What did I do differently? Can I apply this to A, B, and C or D? And over time, when you do budgeting, instinctively you already know what this thing will cost you, and you easily make decisions. Like me, before budgeting, right? Because COVID was where we're forced to adjust our lives and all. I love spending money that I've not earned, and I'll explain. Oh, today is fourth. I have my regular money for spending, and I go to the mall and I see, oh, this suit is on sale, 50% off. But I don't have that money at the moment. Yeah, but salary is like 2 weeks away. Can I borrow from my salary before they pay? And you see me calling a friend, hey guy, raise me small thing now, 2 weeks, I'll pay you. So I borrowed to meet that need, spending the money I don't have. And I know I'm not the only guilty person. Or, oh no, this is June. They're supposed to pay small bonus. Last year, I have like 500K, maybe 300K worst case. So can I buy that PlayStation? So this is all spending money we don't have. Then what happens? We know how businesses are, things are getting tough on business, and the management says, hey, we can't afford to pay that bonus today. I'll just say you put yourself in unnecessary debt of 200 or 300K. So I like to say that, please wait till you earn the money before spending. Don't earn what you've not, don't spend what you've not earned yet. That's just what I like to chip in.
Said, I think I like how relatable your examples are. It's as if you're calling some people's names, calling my name.
No, I'm not shaking the table, I promise. I'm not shaking the table.
My God. Anyways, I think Justice will like this one because it's a question on asset allocation for investment portfolio. So someone is asking, how do I determine the most suitable asset allocation for my investment portfolio? And then what factors should I consider when adjusting asset allocation over time?
If I don't know better, I'll say Justice chatted you that question. No, but I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, right? So really, what actually drives your asset allocation is your risk factor and investment horizon. How long am I playing for in the space? That will determine what kind of asset you get. Then also your risk tolerance, right? I just is laughing. And your risk tolerance. Those are the two things that will drive you to determine what will be asset allocation. If I have a long-term focus, I know equity is volatile and aggressive, but I'll wait the tide to get better, then I'll cash out or benefit from that investment. If it's a short time thing, right, then I'll just tell you without batting an eye, go for conservative funds. The returns might be low, but you leave it better than you came into it, basically. So those are the two factors. What is my investment horizon? Am I playing short term or long time? Long term, and what is my risk appetite? That those are the two things. If you're able to balance that factor, then you just it's like a checklist. This product is long term risk appetite 5%. Oh, I'll take it. Go to the shelf again. Oh, this one is also long term, but it's mid. That I have bonds and all that. I take it. So that's how you just need to know yourself. This is my risk factor. This is when I want to play. Then it drives the asset you're now putting in the commodity.
Right. Okay. So how do you advise that they diversify their investments to reduce risk and achieve optimal returns?
Okay, to reduce risk and achieve
Sorry, before you
optimal.
take that question, I think
Yeah.
Emanuela had a question. She had her hand raised. Emanuela, do you
Oh,
still want
okay.
to ask?
It's weird, Chidera. You're calling me Manuela. That's weird.
Sorry. Please go ahead.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. So my
Good
question
morning.
is, I think I made it clear in the beginning that I was quite interested in real estate investment. So for a starter like me, who's looking to own a property in the nearest future, literally, what steps would you, or what is the investment strategy would you advise that I use?
Okay. So first off, am I allowed to call you Manuela? That's the name I can see on my screen.
Emanuela, yes, for you, yes.
Okay, awesome. Now that that's out of the way, right? So we had a similar discussion with Cesar, and I say I'm no expert in real estate, right? But at least it's
Mhm.
still part of my day-to-day research and all that, right? So
Okay.
basically, I'll say real estate is a long time type of investment.
Okay.
Since you don't have the money outright to buy it off, so do you want to try the mortgage system? I heard that your pension allows you to cash 25% as down payment for mortgage while you settle the
Mhm.
rest. That is one
Mhm.
option. Then another option can be um, to save towards buy long term. Or I may not have the detail like basic detail. I have the basic details at least I'll see. I've seen some people that say, okay, you can pay small from this parcel of land, and in 3 years you own it outright, or they have finished structures and tell you this is the payment. You pay 40%, and over time you pay the balance just like loan, right?
Mhm.
That's like the second option. Then thirdly, I'll say now it depends. Real estate is relative. Do I want a parcel of land in a place? Okay, am I buying to live or buying to sell? I know people who invest in real estate buy houses in the area that's developing or there's promised development or parcel of land, wait 2 3 years and they sell it back and they're back into the business. So I'll say that will also determine the approach you take. But hey, the mortgage system will, I think, to some extent, will support you.
Okay, but how do I go about the mortgage system? Like, how do I go about that process? Who do I talk to? What company is the best to approach?
Okay, so now, right,
Okay,
it
so let me
starts
come in
from.
here. Sorry,
Okay, go ahead, Chidera.
you can respond after my response, but we do
Okay.
have a real estate consultant affiliated with the brand. And so anyone that is interested in real estate can send us a DM on any of our social media accounts or an email or Emanuela, sorry, Ella, but for the sake of everybody, Manuela,
Busted.
I would link you up with the real estate consultant who would answer all your questions and point you in the right direction. Because we
Okay.
do not offer any real estate investments on vested, we don't really focus on it, but we do have consultants that can answer all the real estate questions and help you with your real estate investment journey. I hope that works as
Yeah.
a good response for you. But Said, you also want
Yeah.
to throw in something.
Yeah, Chidera, I want that plug too, please. The back of Emanuela. Yeah,
Right.
just putting that out there. Right. I mean, if I have a consultant, why do I need to do the heavy lifting? Yeah. So what I just wanted to say before now is, so this partnership is in collaboration with Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria and the pension scheme. So if you have a pension scheme, I'll say outrightly speak to your pension manager. They've already partnered with these real estate people. So in the sense that you're getting your 25%, they kind of moderate the whole deal for you from start to finish. It's part of their services too. So that can be another place to start.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Okay. So, Said, I think we'll have to rush through the questions so that we can make time for our Excel overview. Yeah, because I feel that part is really important, and we really
Yes.
need to know how to budget for that extra income that we can throw into investments. Okay, so someone said, how do I assess the risk associated with different investment products and strategies? And then what steps do I take to protect my portfolio against potential risks and market downturns? I think this is somewhat like the question that Justice asked.
Yes, it's kind of similar, right?
Yeah.
So one answer, research. So I'll give you an instance. If I know I'm into equities and I'm into the financial sector, then you'll see me on Bloomberg, Dow Jones, watching those financial news and see how all this is impacting on financial sector in Nigeria and also in the Nigerian finance sector. The blogs are made it more interesting. I know I have Nairametrics, there's Money Series and the likes of them I like to follow. They kind of are harness all this news together and give you like top level summary. So you have to research. So that space you're into or you want to get into, you like to know, okay, what drives them, what affects them. So we know financial sector, basically any policy passed by CBN is either an upward transition or downward, right? So I like to know, why is even this MPR that I hear every month, CBN saying, how does it impact in the financial sector? So by understanding, are you in the agri space or FMCG? How does this policy affect them? What happens in that space? So by the time you're close to this place, you have enough data, so you can begin to see, oh, this time last year in Kano when there was no rain, this was what happened to the price of rice. If weather forecasts have shown there's going to be low rainfall, do I want to take position and buy now so that when there's a price hike, I can sell and make more? If I know, so we know you've seen the trend. There's a graph. You can go on CBN site, for instance, and see what the monetary policy rates have been from stats. And you can now check July last year, July 2 years ago, July 3 years ago. What's that unique thing? What do they have in common? What decision was taken and what was the outcome? So you're able to piece information together, and this will drive how you invest. Because aside from giving your fund manager to invest for you. You want to be an authority in that space too. So while you're waiting for them to advise you, or should I say, you don't have to wait for them, you can make your move. Like for instance, for Justice, I don't know if he's following the space, but if you notice this is what's happening in the equity space, maybe you'll have joined that fund when price was at 800 or 1000, not waiting till when it was at peak, then going in to invest. So this, you just need to do your research and gather data, and of course speak to experts in the field, just so you don't make wrong hypothesis kind of.
Yeah, sorry, let me just jump inside. You are correct. In fact, I should have waited because that fund was 16. Now it's like 25, 30. So I could have.
Oh my goodness, you'll have done double now already.
Yeah, oh, yes, yeah,
Or now you know better.
yes, I know better.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
I really like how Justice asked that question and has been sharing his personal experiences. Thank you so much, Justice. Okay, so we'll take one last question so that we can quickly do our Excel thing. So, how do you handle unexpected life events that may impact my financial situation? So someone is asking, and then said, how can I align my short-term and long-term financial goals to create a cohesive financial plan? Did you get that, Said?
Yeah, I did. I did. The question has a lot of follow-up questions I like to ask a person. So now I don't know your long-term financial goals. I don't know your short-term. So I can't find a confluence point for them, right? Number one. Then to take the first question, how do I handle life unexpected events, right? So for me, basically, I would say insurance. I know in Nigeria the insurance culture is just growing, but I don't play in my vehicle insurance. You have household insurance. I mean, I'm not planning for my TV to pack up, but I've insured it. I mean, we go as far as insuring the screen of our phone. Samsung offers that for the Android people. You buy a new phone, they ask if you want insurance for 40k or so, as against changing the screen of your phone for 380k, and this for 1 year. So it all depends. It's relative. Am I willing to pay 40k as security for something that may not happen, but if it eventually happens, I'm covered. So me outrightly, I'll just say insurance. Insure as much as you can. It might cost you a little thing, but if that happens, eventually you'll be safe. And of course, there's some insurance insurance industry that give you, they return a percentage of your premium to you if that thing doesn't happen. So if I'm paying 100k to insure something that doesn't happen, if there's a possibility I get back 30 or 40k, then I'll say I'm comfortable. Because if it eventually happens, I'll need to spend much more than that to rectify it. So I guess we'll just, might be another topic on his own, Chidera, but for now, just the insurance.
Yes, yes. I think that's a very good answer because
Mm,
I mean, there's no better way to put it. And good
mm.
thing that we have a lot of resources on our website. So if you go to the resources part of our website, you see um, playbooks, articles, videos, and whatnot on sleep well money, um, how to avoid unexpected events, and whatnot. So that we don't waste time, let's jump into the budget part. So I don't know if anybody has their budget, the Excel sheets already mapped out with their spend and everything that they, all their expenses and income and whatnot. But we can share ours, and then you can indicate if you want to share yours after we share ours. But because of time, we'll just jump right into it. So Chidima has offered to share her own. Chidima, you can go ahead and share your screen while Said looks over it, and maybe you can, if you want to, you can walk Said through from your income, or maybe from the things that you spend money on a regular, to your income, and then the different things that you, how you allocate your spend to your different activities, so that we can use the 5 minutes left of our time to go over this thing quickly so everybody can see what it looks like. Chidima, over to you.
So
Oh, someone
Chidera,
is saying
Jura
yes, they
said
have.
they didn't receive the Excel sheet. Oh shit.
Oh, even sent. Oh, sincere apologies. You would get the Excel sheet again. So after the classes, in fact, after this class on Monday, we'll send all the slides, we'll send the recordings, and we'll send, maybe not the recordings, but we'll send the Excel sheet again and the links. Then after the 5 weeks, we'll send all the recordings and all the resources again. Say apologies for that. Chidima, are you ready? I hear anything if you're speaking. Said, can you hear?
So the net is
Okay, Chidima's network is
messy
bad.
network. Why I'm currently sharing my screen.
We can't see your screen. I can't see your screen. I don't know if any other person can.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go
Okay,
ahead,
please, can you
Chidima.
confirm if you can hear me, please? You need to tell me so.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, Chidima, I can hear you. Then others can give
All right,
thumbs up, but I can hear you loud and clear.
all right. Apologies, it's raining where I am, so the network is really not so great. But I tried to put together my own monthly budget for the month of June. That is how much I you know, how much I had like as my income and then how much I spent. I was wondering if I could give you, Saeed, like control of my screen so that you would be able to toggle comfortably rather than having me, rather than having you tell me to shift the cursor every time. But this is my
Okay, no
monthly
problem.
budget for the month of June that I created so that everyone can use as an example as well.
Okay, awesome. First off, I'd like to say thank you for sharing.
See Chidima's screen? Is it just me that can't see it?
No, I can see it. And a couple of people are giving thumbs up.
Okay, that means it's just me.
Yeah.
Okay, Chinemerem can't see it. So Chidima, I know your network is bad, and I'm scared that if you stop sharing and share again, we probably might not see it. But can you take that risk? Maybe stop sharing and share again.
Or we can try this way. If Chidima can drop it for me on my chat, then I'll be the one to project it, if you don't mind.
Okay, I'll
Perfect.
share
Chidima,
with you now then.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Right, and I want to just beg everybody, give us an extra 5 minutes just so that we can go over this thing, because it's really important. We don't want to just be sharing theories. We want to actually practicalize this thing, and we want to show you how to effectively budget. So Chidima has offered to use her spending and income as an example for Saeed to use. So I want to just beg everyone to give us 5 minutes extra so that we can just go over it and learn one or two things. And then just because of time, and while Saeed is trying to share his screen, for next week, there won't be any class next week, but there would be an opportunity for you to reach out to Saeed via email, or you can reach out to us and then we can send your questions or whatnot. So it's a catch-up session, but there won't be a class that would hold for it. But it's an opportunity for you to reach out with any concerns or whatnot that you have, especially those that would want to practice with budget bakers or start up investing with Vested. You can ask us any questions. I mean, you can ask questions after, but Saeed would be available. He has his day job, and we literally pulled him out and tied him on something. That's why he's been available for us. So he has one more week with us, and next week will be that week that you can ask as many questions as you can. So Saeed, if you are ready to share your screen, you can go ahead and do that now while we wait. So do we have any questions? If there are any questions on what Saeed has shared so far. this would be a good time to ask. But again, there will be no classes next week, or no class next week, next Saturday. This is our final class, and that's why we've taken the structure of a Q&A, just so that you can ask all your questions. Justice has a question. Is this our regular Justice or a different Justice? Okay, it's Justice. Go ahead, Justice.
Yeah. Sorry. Last week you said, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? You said we should try and save in foreign currencies, not just dollars. So if we decide to save in pounds or any other foreign currency, yeah, as you know, we can't just put it in a salary account because of inflation. So how do we invest? Of course, we know how we can invest the dollars to the dollars mutual fund. So how do we invest the euros? How do we invest pounds?
So technically that's a form of like a dicey question, right? While the best thing to do would be to engage a fund manager and ask them if they have alternative for currency. I know for euro bonds, you can invest in euro directly or buy in dollars, because dollars seem to be like the benchmark for this currency exchange. But I have a couple of alternative investments I do, especially in pounds, but that's based on my risk appetite, and I've gotten bonds a couple of times, so I wouldn't want to put that out here. But I'll just say, to be conservative, you can engage your fund manager, even fund managers in general. You can Google them and put down your proposal to them and see if they have anything readily available for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So sorry, just give me like a minute or two. I'm downloading now. And so in the next 30 seconds, we should be good. So while this is, we're just trying to find like a point where we can make this budget better, right? But I just want to put it out there. So how will I say, Chidima has more authority on her money. She has reasons why she does something. So me looking at it holistically, I might say, why do you have 3 subscriptions? And you might say, oh no, this is for a friend, this is for me, and stuff like that. So I'm just saying we're trying to find like confluence point where we'll say, okay, you'll have reduced or you'll have increased. So my answer is not like the overall correcting kind of. I'm trying to share my screen. Please let me know if anyone can see it.
It's coming up. Okay, we can see it. I can see it. But Ella, did you want to ask a question? But I saw that you unmuted your mic.
No, yeah, that was an error.
Okay, go ahead,
Oh,
Saeed.
yeah,
Saeed.
awesome. I'm just giving like a quick rundown on it. So I'll just ask a question to get how she thinks on it and everything, right? Yeah, so I saw something that's really, really good here, and it's what I've done. So I saw her making provision for her rent monthly, and I'll say this is like, for those that still pay rent, I'll say this is like the best thing ever. I allocate my rent monthly too. So when it gets to that time of the year, I have it ready. I know for some people, depending on salary structure, some people get paid housing upfront and they get it and just pay off, and they kind of good. But me, this is what I'll do. I'll budget for it monthly. And that time of the year, I'm comfortable. And the good thing about, imagine investing 200 every month for 1 year. Trust me, the returns I'll get on that money, let's say average 10%, will cover for phone electricity for me for a month or two. So invariably, if she's investing this 200K and not saving, she's actually getting more funds. I can now knock off phone electricity for 2 or 3 months, and we know what that means for her. So I'll say this is actually cool. And for this line here, right, this phone, I like how she projected more for it. I know there's this thing about budgeting. I'm trying to cut costs, and I'm sure Chidima, feel free to talk at any time. Most of the calls now will be: is this call necessary? Do I want to make a data call? Do I want to send a text message? And you can see cost saving here. And by imbibing this habit of projecting more, and I like how she did more here. You can't project who you call tomorrow or next. Someone might call you and the discussion is interesting, and you decide to call back, or somebody might drop juicy one on WhatsApp group and you decide to take it offline and make calls, on a lighter note. But I just like how she projected more for this, right? And she's spending less. And this one is actually a big kudos, like making monthly provision for your rent. It can be overemphasized, right? Then coming to Netflix, I don't know if Chidima can talk,
Said,
but I'm
so
just,
sorry, we
yes.
have a hand raised too.
Oh,
Ella,
awesome. Okay, go ahead,
go
Ola.
ahead.
It's more like I just wanted to chip in on the call side.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's more like these days for me personally, if it's not important, if it's not business call, it's WhatsApp or I FaceTime, meaning more of my money is going into data. So I focus on, managing my spend on data. I don't know, it might be different for people. So the only time I call people directly is maybe I'm calling a client, or obviously I can't call, there's some clients I can call via WhatsApp or via FaceTime, right? But if it's not, I mean, there's WhatsApp. So
I like
yeah,
that. I like that.
yeah.
So just use data, right? So Chidima, I wanted to ask, this 6K for next week, is it like a family plan or personal plan? You can chat me if you can
Okay.
talk. I just want to get clarity. Yeah,
Yeah, I was just going to speak to the phone. So what I projected was actually for phone, like for calls, airtime, and data. But for
awesome.
Netflix, yes, it's a family account, but I ended up not spending anything because the account I'm on, I don't need to actually pay anything for it again. Like I found an account where like I don't have to pay for myself anymore, so to speak. So I was able to save in that regard, even though I put it as part of my budget.
Yeah, awesome. And just, when you're trying to save money, then you turn great researcher, hitting Google 100 times. And what I discovered about Netflix is that you now pay your pay is dependent on the device you view it on. So you have the option of 720p, 1080p. That's in terms of resolution, right? So I used to pay 6K
Yeah.
before, but I toned it down to 2.6 because I watch it on my TV and I do 720p, which is perfect. But then the downside is I can only log in on one device. So these I get
Yes,
lazy. I
actually.
don't feel like watching on the TV. Do I want to continue on my phone or tablet? I have to log out from the TV and come log in on my tablet. Sometimes it's stressful, but is it worth the money I'm saving? Yes. Right. And
Yes.
there's this thing we do at work that by colleagues generally. So it's one account. So I pay Netflix once in a month for 10 months. So I'll tell you how. So that account is actually for it or so. And we share the login, right? So you can create profiles on your Netflix with access, right? So I pay for this month at 4.8 and they all have that profile so they're able to watch. Next month, the next person pays and the account is functional. The third month, the third person pays. And before we come full circle, it's already 6th or 7th month and I pay again. So if you compare vis-a-vis 2.6 every month for 7 months or paying 4.8 once for enjoying that benefit, you're actually saving. So you can actually do that with your circle of friends, which is a max plan on Netflix. How do we contribute? So you pay once and see how many of us and how do we get to save further. I'm just saying. So if you're not Alaroro, like we say, like Said, if you like your entertainment full time, good. Yeah, but me, that's what I
Said,
do. I
Said,
just
okay,
Yeah.
Said, I just wanted to chip in. So
yeah,
because of time,
yeah,
I would say anyone that wants to drop off can drop off, but it
yeah,
would be nice if we go through the entire Excel sheet just for recording's sake, right? So that we have a full class, so that when we share the slides and when we share the recording, you'll be able to see how Said has just gone over everything, so you learn more. But if you're not able to stay on the call, you can drop off. Sincere apologies for going over time. Okay, Said, go ahead.
yeah. Yeah, and I'd like to say kudos to Chidinma for this, right? I know people with Netflix, Amazon Prime, DSTV, name it. And my next question is sincerely, you go to work, you come back tired, you only have Saturday and Sunday, or Saturday sometimes, you go to church on Sunday. How many hours do you give to
Said,
this
stop calling my
entertainment?
name. Stop
Oh,
it.
I'm
Stop
shaking
it.
tables.
I don't
Oh
know.
my goodness. Why am I
Chidera, you're
shaking?
not the only one.
I just feel like I need to have anything.
Why am I
I think
shaking tables? I
I think
promise
you're
it's not
calling my name as well
intentional.
because I think I
It's,
have almost I think I have
Said, I don't
every
like
face.
this.
yeah, it's not
At
intentional,
least
I
I'm not alone.
promise.
Ella there.
Yeah. So, So and the thing is, the downside is most of the TVs these days are kind of smart, so you can actually download CNN app, DSTV app, or one app for news at least. So that's why I cut off my DSTV. Basically, I do news on DSTV, Bloomberg, and all. And since I discovered I can actually download the app and stream real time, that's it. So I just transfer that cost to data, right? And that's it. So this is actually a good move of keeping one. And this part just tells me one thing about Chidima. She's kind of an indoor person because I didn't see movies, I didn't see live theater. Like once she gets home, like lock door and leave Lagos out there till Monday again before we continue. But it's kind of good. So if you have more 2 or 3 subscriptions, you may want to review which one do I spend more time on? Which one do I spend more time on? And if that's the one I want to keep, then you can drop off all the others and see how. Do I really miss it? Do I need it? Then it drives your decision. But the collective subscription for Netflix is what you may want to review. I mean, since I started, I just watched for a long time and I get a chat saying, I say it is your turn this month. I'm like, oh, so soon. But of course, I know the value I've saved. So I'll say, yeah, this part's actually looking good, right? So what I want to say again, right, for this maintenance or waste removal or utility for water and power, right? So it might be some form of advanced spend, but for this, basically what I do is I have what I do at the beginning of the year, what I call utility funds. So I can put like a 500 and invest, right? And I start taking either the returns from it monthly is what I use to settle waste disposal. I need to pay service fee for my apartment where I stay. So while I still utilize that fund at the end of the year, but I've already budgeted for it and taken it out and invested somewhere. So the tiny, tiny returns I'm getting, we're now going to blocking, waste removal, water and sewer if you have any. I don't know if you get the concept. So I know I'll pay this money eventually, either I pay monthly or lump sum. So I try to push a lump sum somewhere. And at the end of the day, you see a return of 1,100 per month. Some people will say it's too small, I can't waste my time. But give it a bigger picture. If I spin it for 1 year, that's like 12,000 plus. Then what other expense can I block with that, right? That's another concept. Then transportation or some. If you have vehicle, you pay for fuel, your own car. Do you want to service it and make it optimal to reduce your fuel consumption, or do I want to carpool? We're in the same estate, we go to the same church, or we go along the same path. That means if you're an introvert like me, too bad. But if you're an extrovert and you like to make friends, of course you can talk to your neighbors. Oh, which routes do you go? Can we carpool with you this week and next week you take my car and stuff? Just find a way to reduce transportation costs. But this most of these costs are kind of fixed. You can't really shake it off. So just make provision for it, right? Then when it comes to loans, what I would say is if it's bearing interest, do I want to pay 3 months installment ahead if I can afford it so I can dodge paying interest for the next 2 months? Because most of the loans, depending on the way it's structured, most loans is if you don't utilize that part of the principal, you don't pay interest on it. So if a revolving credit, like a revolving loan like credit cards, I'll just try as much as possible to go over limit. If it's a loan you've taken and you pay EMI, equal monthly installment, just ask your RM, can I pay for 3 months? And will I need to pay the interest? But I know most banks will tell you if you don't utilize that part of the money, you don't pay interest. So you pay 150K this month, and okay, if the interest is 6K or 5K, you're saving that for the next 2 months. That's another part of saving when it comes to loans. Insurance. Chidima will say you need to get one. Do you want to get for your phone at least? Do you want to get home insurance? You never can tell, but you can wait. I know we all have God to protect us, especially in Africa. We rely more on that than anything else. But you may want to, if you have a car, do you want to insure the car just against, aside that it's regulatory. I'm sure you can't drive now on Nigerian road without having at least third party insurance. Do you now want to see, do I need a full vehicle insurance, just to put against the other things? And like they say, Chidema, I don't want to assume you're not paying taxes in Nigeria, I report you to authorities.
She's paying taxes now.
No,
Oh,
I
I
know. Just
am.
I'm
I
just
am, but I don't know the
I'm,
exact value, so I couldn't put it there.
no, I'm just kidding. But sometimes you need to put it vis-a-vis what you pay, so that will drive you when you need when you demand accountability from your political people in the office. So when we're saying a looter on WhatsApp group, you know, say these people have started again. Nah, but that's on a lighter note. But sometimes you may want to put it there just so, because I know most of us for expenses we don't see, we cannot automatically blank it out, right? And oh, I'm earning this, but this is this. But if you really know where all, and I repeat, all your funds are going to, it helps to drive your decision. What's that joke again about debt tax and what is the only thing you can't dodge in life? I can't remember, but that's on lighter note. For food, my goodness, I need your formula, please. How is this? All my money goes into food, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Yes. But I mean, this if we can keep it this low, then I don't know. I don't know what to say. This is like the lowest I've seen so far on the food budget. Chidima, I'll call you outside this class, please. So you need to mentor me on how this food stuff is playing out.
Well, the
And
key is not living alone. So you just contribute and eat together with your
uh,
roommates. You can
awesome.
get a roommate. It
I have
actually
three
saves a lot
already. I
of
have a wife
money.
and two kids, and trust me, they are roommates I can't get rid of. No, but I like that idea. Do we want to do bulk buying, or you handle the full this week, I handle next week? Just some kind of collaborative effort, and you can save. And I like this part, savings or investment, right? So if you take it out and put it against income, it's a sizable amount, and I'll say, good job. What you like to do is, how can I increase this? Right? But I know the chunk of this expense, if you're going monthly, if you take this is already half of the income going on rent alone, right? So you being able to still keep this aside, I know I'll say this is awesome. Like, but this is 30K. What's happening? So I don't understand. Is this like voluntary contribution for retirement or some form of investment scheme? We don't know. You can share so we learn together. But this investment part is solid. I'll give you like 5 star on that. Do you want to speak on this one, this line here?
Okay, for the savings, I put it in, but I had to take some out because I had an emergency. So it wasn't actually for a retirement account, it was just like general savings I have.
Okay.
But an emergency came up, so I just had to take out of the fund to settle it. So that's why
Okay.
it was 30.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Personal care, normal. So I'll say January, right? This is a very good place to start. At least she knows her major expense and where they're going to. I didn't see tithe, I didn't see black tax. I'm sorry if I'm assuming, but I didn't say it. But I know all of us, you can't escape black tax. There's always that call for urgent 2K, right? So it would be good to put it there, just so you know where it's going, gift and donations. But this is a lean kind of budget, but I'll say it's a good way, it's a good place to start, right? So each one of us is what we can imbibe. And like I always say about budgeting, right? Just start first. 1 month, 2 months, you keep the energy. Just it's more like it becomes some form of mental thing. I can go like 3, 4 days without putting entries in my book, but the moment I pick my system on my phone, I know exactly where the money is going to, and I can update it. Right. So thank you so much, Chidima, for sharing with us. I really appreciate, and this goes a long way to just explain how you can mark out the little things and you can follow through where your money is going to, and you can see where you can adjust. So for me, if I'm to critique this budget, the only thing I would say is to find a way to cut down the Netflix costs. Because Netflix consumes data, meaning the more Netflix you do, the more you make provision for data. So if it's one account, one single user, do you want to go to the 2.6 subscription and you know you're stuck on one device, or you want to do collective subscription and kind of reduce this? And by reducing this might reduce, because if you're viewing on a screen that has a resolution of 1080p, that means you're consuming more data than using a screen of 720p. So if you downgrade to a screen of 720p, you save subscription on Netflix and you also save on phone, since it's inclusive of data. Yeah, basically. But thank you so much for sharing.
Awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
thank
much,
you.
Aidan.
Mm, mm.
Thanks to everyone for making our time for the classes. You would get the slides, you get the recordings. So we want to put the recordings together and just ensure that they are top notch before we share. But we'll share it worst case scenario before the end of first week of August, because we're trying to put it together to make sure that it looks really good. Saeed, I know how much you've sacrificed for us. Thank you so much for your time. And thanks to everybody that has attended the classes from day one. Justice, thank you for your contributions and for sharing your experiences. We are open to answer any questions that you have. Our DMs are always open. We're very responsive. For the questions on real estate, you can DM us and we'll also answer you. We'll direct you to the right people. I will drop my number because we're a small community. I will drop my number on here. You guys can call me directly to ask about the real estate plug if you guys want to go into that. But thank you so much for your time. And if you want to start out on very, for the lack of a better word, very conservative or moderate investments, you can start with Vested. Just go on the app. It's there are steps that you can follow, very simple and easy to use, and you can start up with the funds on there. But if you want to embark on bigger things, please do your research. Please seek advice. Saeed, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that the fun part of the Vested app for me is that risk profile.
Yeah.
It really takes a lot off the table just by profiling me, this, that, and you recommend a fund for me. While it's not now compulsory you follow that advice, but it's just saying to some extent we've done the heavy lifting to profile and say, okay, based on this question you answered. Remember earlier I was saying your investment horizon, how long you want to invest for, your risk appetite and all that. So we put it together into some form of questionnaire, and by answering back end we can tell you, okay, you may want to do this one for now. But like Chidera said outrightly, add your further research. It's just risk mitigation. I mean, it helps. So nobody knows you like yourself, so you can do that extra leg. But I'm just saying, invested, when you come on board, you do that. You take those questions and we profile products for you. So yeah, we're waiting for you on there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Said. Okay, so because of time, we'll just get out of your hair, but you can reach out to me directly and I can point you to the right direction. Or if I'm not able to answer your questions, I would direct you to Said so that he can answer all your questions. There are no classes next week, but there is an opportunity for you to catch up, for Said to catch up with your progress or answer any questions that you have. Thank you again, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and stay safe. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Chidema, thank you once again for sharing and for putting together wonderful slides.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Bye,
bye
guys.
everyone. Yeah.